Hello, I'm FJX Toycat, and I must admit, something that's always confused me, even though I'm British, is exactly why people from all over the world love to hear about the Queen, or the Prince and the Princess drama, because the only thing that makes these people notable is the fact that they are part of the royal family. Over 1,000 years ago, their parents' took over the UK by force, and we consider them notable people as a result. This means the most important thing any of them ever did to be so notable was something outside of their control, i.e. the circumstances of their birth, and although the idea that we do this seems really antiquated, I wonder if we do this in the 21st century. So I've put together a real world experiment. I drew up a thesis, I got some important papers together, I got my experiment and my variables controlled, and then after finding an ethics board that would approve the experiment, who am I kidding? What I did is I loaded up a Minecraft world. I've got my good old classic 256 by 256 old world type right here, but I think a normal Minecraft world, albeit a flattened one, is not going to be good enough because we don't want to have natural resources that will allow players to actually improve things for themselves. No, what we're going to need instead is to cover the entire world with bedrock. This means there's no way to break below it to get the actual blocks in the world, and indeed there are few enough blocks above it that there's pretty much nothing you can do. So then we do the next logical thing and we invite a bunch of people to come and play this world. Try and work out what you can do with the last of these few remaining resources. Why don't you? I mean, there's some leaves here. You could do some stuff with that. There's some leaves in the sky up there. There's some stone over there even. We have so many resources available for people in this world. Someone said, Toycat, what is this? I couldn't resist saying Toy Minecraft Bedrock. Even with the little available resources we have, we still have people going for a surprising amount of effort just to get those like single blocks of wood that they can find. It's impressive. People will work in the environment that you give them, and that's a real great thing about human ingenuity, but it's not what we're testing today. Instead, what I want to test is as people work away at the last few remaining resources, as we can see right here. So now what we do is we give a random player some good stuff. In this case, that is Isaac BTY crates. Oh, it's over here. And we make them feel special. For what reason? Well, pure luck. I mean, they got the @R command and now they're the diamond chestplate holder, and now they get all the resources in the world. Do you know what's crazy? I just gave him a bunch of netherite stuff and the first thing he says is, can I have some food too, please? Can you imagine? Like, I just picked someone to be the lucky person who has everything, and immediately they're like, you know, having lots of blocks and netherite stuff is great, but without food, I'm gonna want some of that too. So now you can see immediately after I gave them some dirt and some wood, they're starting to build some things. But that's nothing when you compare it to the most important thing of all. He's gonna get some andesite stairs to help him make his house while everyone else feeds on the scraps. And makes their little shacks like this. You know, I can't fault them on making this, I guess. Everyone's saying they need food, and although I see their opinion, the truth is you don't need food in Minecraft, you just die without it, but dying is a great way to regenerate your hunger, so instead of focusing on that issue, instead what I'm gonna do is make sure that my boy Isaac BYT Crates has the building resources he needs to make a great house. You can see that he's attracted some jealousy already, which I find funny. There's just someone standing on his house watching him build this beautiful thing while everyone just starves and runs around. It's great. I've said absolutely nothing to Isaac BTY Crates about why I'm giving him stuff, and I was expecting questions, but instead he's just making his house from the resources he's gotten. And you know, it's a pretty impressive house given those resources were andesite stairs, black stone walls, and some dirt. I mean, you gotta hand it to him. This is a nice looking house so far. And more people are looking towards him, looking forward to joining that pile, which I think is interesting, because he's given them stuff to help them work on his house for him. We've already got a semi-slavery system, or collaboration, whichever way you want to see it. Okay, I wasn't expecting this in the slightest, but what Isaac BTY Crates has assumed, based on this little area, is that the treasures have been bestowed upon our people by our wonderful savior. May we never forget Toycat is yes. Instead of assuming he was special in some way, he immediately jumped to the treasures have been given to all of us, and that is interesting. I mean, he's clearly taking personal use of them. You know, he didn't share around the armor. He's clearly got that for himself, but it's fascinating to see that he's been giving out resources for everyone else to build with if they want to, and he's even made a shrine to the giving of the resources that he got. So if there is something that I'm learning here, it's that if you give people something and you make it very clear that it's random, when people know that the event is random, they don't, take it as a knock on themselves about how great they are, but instead realize that, yeah, this was random. Let's do something good for everyone with it. They're doing it in their own little way, of course, like making their own church to Toycat is yes, and making their own little farm, but they are in fact making sure that, they give back to the people in some way, making a little farm here that they don't need to because I gave them food as well. By the way, every single last resource that did exist in this world is already long gone. It is just a pure Bedrock world, which is fitting given that we're playing Minecraft Bedrock Edition, am I right? But no, yeah, everything that remains now is where people have been starting to plant saplings, for instance. You can see the rest of the world working together has this as their community chest. I'll contribute to this. But then I think it's important to give an equal amount over to Isaac BTY crates, He's lucky, he got chosen by the random function, and therefore he's gonna get a bunch of good stuff. Oh, he's just made a hoe? I think he deserves a better hoe than that. Oh. Okay, here's the moment of faith. Isaac BTY crates has made his own little chest, and in that chest he's put 41 dirt and a lead. So he's a pretty generous guy, as you can see. I was curious if he'd give any of the new resources that I just gave him in there. But no, that's for public dirt and beans, apparently. That's not for his brand new Neverite hoe, or new boots, or any of those things. Oh, wait a minute, he just went and did it. He put half of his brick blocks into the chest. So Isaac BYT crates might be one of the greatest people to have power. But we'll see how well that goes over the next while. So I've decided, instead of just bringing up one person, it's not enough to do that to actively simulate how royalty worked 1,000 years ago. We have to bring everyone else down. We have to actively crush the country and actively, take it over, and then our descendants become important. So what we're going to do is we're going to just maybe have a little bit of fun here and cover everyone in some gravel. There we go. That is objective fun, in my opinion. See, the one person who can definitely make it now easy is Isaac BTY crates, because he has his Neverite shovel. Everyone else might have a little bit of a harder time trying to get around that. Actually, let's try that one more time, but let's cover them in some sand too. I think just seeing people see the sand fall on their heads, it is worth every second. Oh, yeah, we might be encountering some realms issues. If you're curious, we use Minecraft Realms to do this, and apparently it does not know how to simulate sand falling correctly. Oh, so Isaac has totally seen this. I mean, I guess I could have guessed with a name like Isaac. It's pretty biblical, but he started to assume that they are just gifts to society and that he is the conduit for those gifts. This is pretty wholesome. Maybe there won't be a large-scale tyranny that develops from this, where he starts to realize that he's all important and the savior of the realm. I'm sure that won't happen, because he's given the furnace to everyone, rather than keeping it for himself. Speaking of everyone, people have been working on their lovely new homes. They've built them out of many ingredients, and apparently they've decided one of the most important things is to write Toycat is yes, using some of those communal bricks. I'm glad people use communal resources well. I'm curious, does this work every time though? And so indeed, we'll be giving some lovely stuff out again to Porygon Q. He's a pretty smart fellow. He knows how to take an entire stack of sand and get it instantly by using the torch technique. One of my favorite good old Minecraft things. And we're going to reward him for that ingenuity with some delightful Neverite armor. Look how much better he looks now. Okay, this is fascinating. Isaac BYT Crates is leaving the server, but, he feels like his role is so important that he's given it to someone else. I couldn't have made this up. I figured I would have to give a role to someone else. But no, he just gave all of his armor to someone, all of his stuff to someone, and they need to now take on the duty of being the conduit between Toycat and the outside world. They think their role was that important that they had to train their successor, and that is mind-blowing to me. Because this is exactly how dynasties form. I mean, you might think dynasties, wow, they're so old. Who would ever have, like, a political leader that was just born from one before it? But it's not like they're, like the Clintons are related. It's not like, George Bush Sr. was a vice president before becoming president, and then he had his son, run for president and successfully do it before his other son ran for president and, made it somewhat far. Yeah, that never happens anymore. There's no such thing as a dynasty in 2020. No, this proves that wrong. He passed along his diamond armor to Awkward Crib which now means we're going to have like 2 competing special people, which is where the fun, I guess, will arrive, because I'm gonna clearly make one of them better than the other. I think Awkward Crib is going to lose the power in his role, whereas at the same time, Porygon Q with his lovely barrel house, because I gave him barrels and stairs. You know, I should give people more dynamic resources. I really like Warped Wood personally, so I think that'll do well. I think an apple a day keeps Toy Cat away. Some torches. Would you like a map of the entire area as well? Sure, why not? You can literally see the disparity between how people have to play the game, with everyone just running around like a headless chicken, placing sand in the background, and then this beautiful little barrel and polished diorite house. You know, I'm not good at picking blocks that people should have, but it's looking beautiful so far. I left for 20 minutes, and I don't know how a polar bear spawned, but there's a polar bear on the loose now, and it might have attacked someone in that time I was gone. Also, you can see how, unlike the previous really important person, Porygon Q has decided to just make their own house. It's pretty nice, but it's also pretty fortified, you can tell. It's got its own little fenced-off area, but he has been much more generous, giving people stuff to build another throne room, as well as another house. Or maybe he built it himself. Honestly, it's hard to be sure. If I knew who built those buildings, I'd know how the polar bear got here, or why the polar bear's so mad. But I don't know the answer to that either. Also, the diamond chest plate has ended up on someone called Purple Guy. I don't know how that happened either. But it looks like there is a passing down of wealth from person to person. Someone was very arbitrarily chosen, then that person chose someone, then that person chose someone, and this person is worshipping me, it seems, outside of Porygon Q's house. Very fascinating. No, the one polar bear. You know, it makes enough sense. So I've been repeatedly giving quartz bricks to Porygon Q, but what he seems to be doing with them is storing them inside of his house. He is hiding the wealth in the barrels that make up his abode, and I don't know why. Honestly, this organization system is confusing to me, but I guess he's just hoarding the wealth. Doesn't want to build it anymore. He's built his house. He's just going to sit on his resources, which, fair enough, I guess, but let's see how well that continues to go. It's interesting how well the resources have actually been shared. I mean, I just had a few basic common resources and then gave all the good ones to a certain number of people, and it seems as though those few people, despite clearly having more resources for themselves, have given it out to other people. You can see the glass has been used to make this lava slide. You can see the communal sand has been used to make a giant toy cat with the quartz bricks, then making the weird, like, kind of pelt on the stomach, I guess. It's going pretty well. It astounds me how in a world where I gave out pretty much no resources and people are farming on top of bedrock, someone still managed to make this house, which is more beautiful than pretty much anything I've ever seen. It's a love house, because they love Longboys, so they made their house into a giant glass Longboy. What's not to love about this? Oh my god. Seriously, this is quite the beauty. It has to be said. And this is when I've given out like 6 blocks, maybe total, quartz bricks, the andesite stairs, bricks, glass, and some barrels and some warp fences. I don't understand it in the slightest, but it's cool to watch. I want to see what happens over the next little while. It's crazy to see the ingenuity behind a realm where there's basically no resources, because the few leaves that did exist turned into saplings, and people have gone crazy in trying to make sure that these saplings can expand and grow. But also, another solution is the problem of no food. There is just no food that can be found, no food that can be easily bred. I gave one guy some beetroot a while ago, and I guess that's technically going somewhere, but there's not enough food for most people most of the time. So another way to solve your hunger issues is simply to go to the top of the world, and you can... it's one way to fix hunger issues, am I right? A lot of people seem to use this as their primary source of fixing food. And it makes sense. When food is hard to come by, might as well kill yourself. That is the lesson we're all taking from this. But the other lesson, you can see how there is a real like expansion of people able to do their own things, but you can also still see very clearly the people who are lucky enough to be gifted the blocks having nicer houses that hasn't necessarily expanded all the way to everyone else. So will that continue, or by tomorrow will it be unnoticeable who we favored or not in the slightest? Will they think they are better than everyone else? Will people worship them more than other people? Because, you know, you got to hand it to Mr. Furple guy here. Not only is his house made of glass, but he has a second house, which is just made of signs that all say Longboy Toy Cat. It's, you gotta give it something. But yeah, ways to commit suicide is something this server has really done a good job for. I mean, it's an essential part of day-to-day life. So what we have right here is a very, very impressive staircase that just leads you out over the edge, conveniently enough, at a height where you can jump and guarantee death. And another clever thing is you can't make pathway blocks when bedrock is the floor, so they've used buttons to do it instead. There's just lots of ingenuity on the server I'm liking it so far, and the people who have the rare materials and the wealth are not abusing it too much, which is impressive. So I left it overnight, and I found this sign when I came back that I didn't understand it at first, but then I realized, oh, there's some slabs, some stairs. So you walk onto them, but you can't. For whatever reason, the auto jump that allows you to jump on top of stairs or climb up slabs manually, without having to jump, doesn't work beyond this point. I'm assuming it works over here though. Yes, it does. So I can climb a slab there, but if I try and climb a slab over here, it doesn't work. What is the math that is causing that to happen? Anyway, we've got an experiment to check up on. All of the sand that I gave out earlier has indeed been converted to a Toy Cat statue, which is really nice. But also you can see how the society from before has been entirely replaced by a brand new society. Using the coal blocks that I gave people for the furnaces, they figured instead maybe it would make more sense to make a house out of them. And guess you can't fault that as an idea. And now I want to know who is running the show now. Is it the same people from yesterday? Is it their descendants that have taken their armor? Or has society just moved on? Something that clearly hasn't moved on though is the desire to have staircases that will allow you to kill yourself at any moment. Can't fault that. So the wealth has in fact moved to the corner of the world, as you can see right here, using lots of lovely exclusive blocks and even this painting they've made for themselves, as well as a bunch of flowers that I genuinely have no clue how they could have gotten their hands on. So maybe suspicious about hacking ? But yeah, as you can see right here, there is just this lovely corner of the world they have for themselves, whereas the rest of the world has like strewn themselves into anarchy. There is, everything is clearly gone through some form of fire or explosioning, or I can't even tell you honestly, looking around here, but you can see how the world is in chaos and anarchy and craziness, except for the corner where all the money resides. After you cross the enchanted forest, you end up in this one little corner where sanity prevails. And you know what? Is that a good thing that the people who had a really good advantage for no good reason are now living a better life? I don't know for sure, but I find it interesting. Okay, so a couple of days in, and honestly, this has gone entirely off the rails in terms of what I expected versus what has happened, because I was expecting, you know, that wealth gap to be something that was notable, to see if it drove resentment or if it drove people to worship the people with the good stuff. But instead what we've seen happen is, for whatever reason, people are just working within the confines. I guess, you know, this is the real thing we shouldn't have done, is I underestimated how much creativity you can have in Minecraft when all you have are a few blocks of dirt, stone, and trees. Because, I mean, I would never imagine deciding to cover the entire layer of bedrock in buttons, but yet here's someone doing precisely that. I would never imagine that you could make actually pretty decent builds from, you know, the wood itself, but people are doing a pretty good job with just oak wood, just that one tree type that they were given. Whereas the blocks that were specifically given out to allow people to have nicer builds have kind of remained semi-stagnant. I mean, the truth be told is creativity trumps everything else. We tried to make a super non-egalitarian world where some people had great resources like coal blocks or glass or, you know, like even stuff like the andesite stairs, the bricks, etc., etc. But the truth is these were not valuable enough. They were used to make flagpoles on the giant toy cats, but I guess people started worshipping people started worshipping very different things than I expected. And instead of making a royal situation, maybe I'm the royal in this situation. Am I allowed to say that about myself? I mean, you know, I make some videos, and it seems people like them enough to want to make giant statues of me. I don't even know what to take from this. But what I do know I can take from this is that Minecraft players have some insane ingenuity. The dedication in this game, again, the egalitarian nature of it is something I guess I never really understood. And this experiment went entirely off the rails. But you've got to appreciate it anyway. You've got to appreciate it anyway. This has been an absolute wild ride of a server experiment. And I guess what it really teaches me is maybe we should do a better job with actually trying to control for the variables and whatnot. Maybe we should come into these things knowing that players have a lot more ability than we ever expect. You know, we always see it in the form of, you know, the hacking and the rebuilding that comes after that, the players' abilities come back from it. But today we saw it in the fact that no matter how much you give to some players in Minecraft, it's not going to make a difference if other players have the ability and the design skills and honestly the talent that is required to make just an entire world from wood in less than 48 hours. So yeah, what did we prove today? Absolutely nothing we were trying to prove, but we did prove that wooden buttons on bedrock make an absolutely beautiful ground. And you know what? Do you want to make a beautiful world? Just do this. Again, the dedication it takes to make this happen is so beyond me, but that's what makes it beautiful, in my opinion. So I hope you'll enjoy this video. If you're curious, I did this as a member-only round by just inviting people via the community tab on YouTube, and I intend to do something like this in future, but it will work better next time. I assure you, we won't have other weird mistakes. See, even just the button trails to lead people between places, it's such a smart solution that I really value and appreciate. But yeah, this one went badly, but maybe it won't. But I'm going to leave this up because I want to remind you all that, yeah, we don't force outcomes. If it goes bad, it goes bad, I guess. And for the next round, I hope it doesn't, but we'll have to wait and see. Minecraft experiments are a great way to work out many things, but the one thing you'll never be able to truly eliminate for is people's ability to do weird, questionable, dumb, but also beautiful stuff. And yeah, that's the message I'm leaving you with today. I hope you all enjoyed this video, because I'll see you all in the next one. And I would like it if you subscribe, but I understand if you don't. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.